Are they equal? Extend them. Are they equal? Okay? For pronation, supination, bend your elbow. Okay? So you want to check it at the elbow. Hold the pin. Hold the pin. Okay? So you're going to have them side by side this way. You look at the pins and have them, okay, turn over. Turn your hand over. Are they pointing at each other, the pins? Or pretty close? And then when they go opposite, are they pretty even, or is one going further than the other? And if it's, if it's like an inch or so, you're always going to have a little more laxity on one arm. Generally, it could be the arm that is utilized more. But one thing you want to make sure is that they're not dipped. Sit up straight. There we go. Because what happens if they dip their shoulder? Where does the elbow go?
Down there.
That's going to change all the schematics. So you have to make sure they are upright, sitting up straight from the shoulders down. Okay, when you're working. And the shoulder is not moving. And the biggest thing is, especially with this, if there's a problem in the elbow and you tell them to rotate or pronate, what are they going to do?
Twist the arm.
They're going to raise the shoulder to try and rotate. They're still getting the rotation, but it's coming from shoulder, not true elbow. So you want to make sure their elbow stays tight. Okay, there's your range of motion. Flexion, extension, pronation, supination. Okay, just make sure it's in tight. Okay, now we talked about we have collateral ligaments similar to the knee. You have the ulnar collateral or the medial collateral, and you have the radial collateral or the lateral collateral. So you test them the same as the knee. You have a valgus force and a varus force for it at 0 and about 20 degrees. Okay? So for the valgus force, and again, to make sure when if their arm is pronated or their hand is prone, then you've rotated the elbow so you're not really in a good varus or valgus force. And how do I do this so everybody can see? Because I'm not going to
Do it
everybody's
twice.
way. Okay. Okay, so when you're doing these tests, you have to make sure they are supinated. So you need to put their arm in supination. Okay. Go ahead and stand up for me. Okay. Now, relax this arm. Don't help me. And this is where you have to get into it. Everybody wants to help. So they'll hold it out here for you. But you want them loose. Okay? So you have to make sure they're nice and loose. Okay, so I'm going to keep her in supination. So I have to keep my hand in a little bit of rotation this way to keep it there. I'm going to do a valgus stress test on the ulnar collateral, medial collateral through here. Don't help me. Okay, I'm going to do it at about 20 degrees. Again, I'm going to, my palm here at the joint, palm of my left hand is at the joint if I'm checking the right hand, and I am moving the distal end away, or towards me. Okay, I'm not, you might push in a little bit, but the force comes more from this end than this end. This is a little bit more stabilizing. So I'm not trying to do this and keep this still. I'm holding this solid, but I'm putting some pressure in there, and then I'm bringing her arm towards me.
More stabilization, right?
Huh?
Just stabilize it.
Just basically stabilize it. So I'm doing it in 0, 0. Or 0 here and 20, sorry. Okay? Same thing for relax, down. Okay, same thing with the varus force. Okay, I switch hands, but I have to make sure I keep her in supination. So I keep her palm rotated, stabilize here. I'm going to pull towards me. And again, don't do this, because all you're doing is turning her palm over. I have to keep her in supination, keep her solid. I'm going to pull towards me this way, 20 and 0. Okay, keeping her in supination. That's your varus and valgus force. Okay?
Can you do it from the arm? Can you show Oliver?
Relax.
I'm trying. Look at her.
Quit helping. Okay, so this is checking the lateral, or the radial collateral, 20, 0. Again, switching hands, gonna keep her in supination. The ulnar collateral, medial, 0, 20 and 0. Okay? Now, the valgus extension overload is checking the olecranon. So those checking the collateral ligaments, right there. And the ulnar collateral ligament is the one most affected, especially when you're doing a lot of throwing. So with your throwers is when you're gonna have some laxity. Okay? You may have pain through there. You also gonna have the ulnar nerve through there, which we'll check here in a minute with the Tinel side. But you could also have irritation of the olecranon fossa or the hook on the olecranon, okay, the actual point. So you want to do what we call a valgus extension overload. And what you do is you put them, supination, yeah. You put a valgus force on them, okay, at about 20, but then you're going to extend the arm, okay? So I'm putting them into a valgus, and then I'm extending her arm all the way. Okay, that's putting a lot of force right through the olecranon. So we call it valgus extension overload. So we kind of overload that extension with the valgus force on it. Okay, so you have to be sure you keep that valgus force on while you're extending. You can't take the force off. Okay.
So like this.
Huh? It's, yeah, you put it in and you extend, but then you're going all the way into extension. Okay? Okay.
How effective is that test really when you have a lot of people that tend to be hypermobile? Like, you know, even extreme cases where it's like 15 to 20
Check both sides.
It'll still be, if you have
Is it like a pain
inflammation.
test, or is it-
Yeah, it's a pain and inflammatory response. It's not a looseness test. Per se, you're not checking for stability so much in that one as pain within the olecranon. Now you could, if you considered where we talked about, you might have a necrotic condition. We said avascular necrosis of the olecranon going on, and where the hook is actually worn down or becoming dead, where you may get even more hyperextension on this one than you do this one. Okay, where the hook is gone, so it's able to roll through that notch much further than the other side. Okay, all right. Let's do Tinel sign. We'll jump down for median nerve. Since you have the ulnar nerve in here medially, again, you put them into tension. You can do this straight with them relaxed. That tickles. Okay, basically, you're feeling for the ulnar nerve. So you can palpate right through here. Okay, you can feel. And what I do a lot of times is I'll palpate it with my index finger and my fourth finger, and I'll take my middle finger and just tap it. You're just going to, Tinel sign is tapping. So you're going to tap that nerve right in between. So your index finger is feeling the one bony anatomy on the epicondyle. The fourth finger is feeling the other bony protuberance on the epicondyle. And then the tunnel is right in between, and then you just tap that. Okay? If you find it, you find it with your one hand, and you can feel it, then you can just do little taps that way too. It's easy to do, whichever. But you're basically doing Tinel sign, tapping that nerve, trying to get the zinging. If it's irritated at the elbow from a lot of subluxing or having problems with throwing, then as soon as you start tapping it, they're going to get a lot of paresthesia and sensory signals down through the ulnar nerve. Yeah,
Is that the trochlear notch or is that different?
different.
Okay.
All right. So that's Tinel sign, so we jump down to that one. Okay, wrist extensors. These are, can't believe how easy these things are. Sit down. Yep. No, sit on the chair, sorry. Sit there. Okay, so, tennis elbow. Okay? It's the lateral epicondyle, correct? And we're trying to resist from wrist extension, which is this way. Okay, pulling the wrist up this way. Flexion is pulling it this way. So we're doing basically resistive extension or resistive tennis elbow. We're trying to limit wrist extension So basically, I want her to go into extension, okay? And then I'm going to take it, kind of resist me, and take her all the way through the range while she's resisting. So it's doing an eccentric motion on the extensor. So again, I need to stabilize her forearm down on the table. Take her into extension. Okay? That's wrist, or tennis elbow, wrist extensor. Flip over, wrist flexor. Resist it.
She's trying to flex, no?
She's trying to resist me, yeah. Okay? Man, if you have somebody who's really strong and you can't break it,
Step.
then, you know, tell them, just resist me, but let me take you through the entire range of motion. So you need to be able to go through, it's not a break test, so to speak. So you have to go through the entire range of motion. Okay? So that's the wrist extensor overload. Is it? All my stuff. Pronator teres, go ahead and stand up, is for median nerve inflammation and entrapment. Pronator teres is basically we're going to resist pronation, okay, on it, so it's kind of like we're hand wrestling, okay? But at the same time, I'm going to take her into extension, so I'm going to tell her it's like, martial art, it's like you're going to throw a punch. Okay, so you're starting from here, supinated, and you're coming forward and extending it while you pronate, okay? So I'm going to have her go ahead and throw a punch. Okay, I'm holding here and I'm guiding her elbow because I don't want her to come out and around. So I want her elbow in tight, go ahead. And I'm resisting the pronation. Okay, go. So she's going all the way out and going into full extension into pronation.
Are you pushing on her elbow at all, or is it
I'm
just
holding it down
guiding?
against that way, just to keep it in, because I don't want her to bring it out
Okay,
to go around
but
her.
she's not pushing against your hand or anything.
I don't think so. She might be pushing, but she's gonna be pushing away from the body, in which is not gonna affect it, okay? I'm just basically holding her to make sure she goes through the right channel. Huh?
Oh.
That's the pronator teres test. There's your elbow.
That's it?
That's it. Next week's a fun one.
God, I hope I can that one.